Well, hello. We're back for another episode of this. I seen you in the chat, Gabe. Yeah, 10 minutes late. I was a bit behind on getting all my notes together. Having to think about the way they do time travel in this film. Because the way they do it is, it's one of those things where it's like, well, you can't do that with that. So I was kind of pondering that for a good 10 minutes there, just trying to figure it out. But yes, we're here, so I'll probably be pretty quick on getting into it on this stream, because already after watching this film, I don't find myself giving a shit. It's the strangest, the weirdest film I've ever watched. There's no, it's just a cobbled together absolute piece of shit. That's probably the best way to put it. It seems like no one had a plan or an idea of what they were actually doing. It seems like multiple people were saying, I want this, and then another person says, you should do this as well. And it's just, I think the best way I've seen people describe this film is a collection of scenes. That's what it is. Half the time you're like, right, so what are they doing now? What exactly are they looking for? It's a very confusing film. And, of course, we all knew what was going to happen to Indiana Jones. The really bad stuff in that case is at the end of the film. We've got Phoebe Waller-Bridge, annoying bitch. That's the best way to describe her. Yeah, can you even call it a film? Yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking when I was watching it. It's such a strange film. Like, it drags on for, if you take out the credits, for 2 hours and 20 minutes. You get to the end of the film, it just fucking ends. I'm like, I was just kind of like, so what was the point in all that? That 2 hours and 20 minutes, what was the point of all that? It didn't seem like there was any point. It was just like, here you go. That's kind of seems like what the goal with this film was. Even thinking about it now, I'm just like, I don't know what I just watched. What was I supposed to take away? What was I supposed to take away from this film? There's just nothing there. Yeah, we'll definitely be talking about her knocking him out. That's a lot of fun at the very end. A lot of fun. Very, very depressing. A very depressing film. Even the action is like really shit. It goes on for way too long, and it's just complete chaos. The main chase that they have, probably about an hour in, or maybe before that, with the tuk-tuk. That goes on for ages, and they have, they're chasing after the doll, and then her fiance's chasing. It's like just fucking complete chaos, and it goes on for what feels like half an hour. And like you're kind of getting towards the end of this film, and you're like, there's 10 minutes to go. How are they going to resolve this? I thought we were getting to all this time travel business. It's like the last 10 minutes, they time travel for about 5 minutes, and then the last 5 minutes is, oh, this person shows up, and they reunite, and then that's it. And you're just like, well, what point were you trying to make? James Mangold seems to think it was making a point about getting old. I find it funny, he had comments the other day about, oh, most modern movies, they're not about anything. Whereas what we done was we made our film about something, about getting old. I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see what point you were trying to make. So that's kind of what you're dealing with with this film. It's just a cobbled together mess. You can tell, it's really obvious, like how the reshots have went. It seems like it's a film that's went through multiple edits, multiple versions, because there's a lot of stuff where it's like, right, so now you're going for this, and then, oh no, we're doing this now, and it's just really random. Yeah, I wouldn't be so... Yeah, it's probably her getting back at them for getting all those coffees. But yeah, there's some parts in this film where I think I was watching Drinker's stream where they kind of mentioned it. They said it is like a film made for Kathleen Kennedy, not an actual audience. So just looking at what we've got with this film, yeah, it's definitely going to massively flop. This is not going to make its money back. I don't think the word of mouth is going to be any good. The only funny thing I guess I've seen is some people are quite in the middle with this film, saying, it's, it's not good, but it's not the worst thing ever. But I'm always just taken aback by statements like that, because I'm just like, no, it's shit. It's like really bad. The entire point of the film is just broken. It's supposed to be a film that includes the time travel is completely broken. It's like that makes the film an utter disaster right there. And even if you forget about it, it's just random shit going on. The previews, it only earned 7 million. 7 million. So even less than The Flash. So I don't see this. We'll see how it does for the entire weekend, but I don't think it's going to have any legs. But yeah, it's again another film that doesn't deserve to have any success. Because again, I've even seen people say, "Oh, it's enjoyable." I'm just like, I'm struggling. I'm really struggling to find anything enjoyable about it. Because half the time you're just like, what am I watching? It's very weird. One of the weirdest films I've ever watched. And with that, we might as well just dive into it, because I don't really want to talk about it for that long. There's a lot of stuff in here where it's quite a struggle to come up with anything to say about it, because there's nothing really there. There's nothing substantive to say about it, really. But let's just dive into it. So, we've all seen in the trailers, the entire opening is about 15 minutes, or, 20 minutes. It's like a 20-minute segment of Indiana Jones in 1944, where they've de-aged Harrison Ford. I think the main problem is it's a de-aged Harrison Ford, but he has an old Harrison Ford's voice. So that's a bit strange. And then there's some of the de-aging isn't that good. You would think what you want out of when you de-age someone is, I shouldn't be able to tell. I should be able to go, yeah, I can kind of tell, but not really. Whereas there is some shots in this opening segment where it looks animated. Like, it looks like is it the Polar Express or something like that? It's like they use like CGI or like the Tintin movie. It kind of looks like that now and again. It only really looks any good if it's in the dark or something like that. So that's what you open with, and he's being taken in by the Nazis with a bag over his head. Even this 20, like the first 20 minutes, like this opening thing, it's still really shit. It's just like riddled with issues, defying physics. There's just a lot of stuff like that. The one thing you notice in this film is everything is very convenient. It's very convenient, or it's very inconvenient. When we need this to happen, this person knows right away, even though it's like, well, where did they get that from? Dunno. Where it's like, if you want to have this, a character goes, oh, well, if you want to get that, I have this piece of, it's like, explain how you have that. And then it will make more sense. So you do get quite a bit of that. So he gets taken in and, like, spoken to by this Nazi general, whoever it is. And then that's when Mads Mikkelsen shows up, a villain that is just really, really stupid, employs stupid people. I don't really know what they were going for with this villain, but it's a nothing villain. That's kind of what you have with Voller. There's just nothing to him other than I want to go back in time and win the war. Like, that's it. There's nothing else about him. So then, you have Voller shows up, and he has, what does he have, because they're dealing with something in this called the Lance of Longinus, which is said to be this spear tip that pierced Jesus in the side. That's apparently what this artifact is. So that's what he shows up with, and shows the Nazi general, and then they take Indiana Jones off in a room and hang him. Like they hang him up by his neck, and then a missile falls out of the sky and it doesn't just explode on impact. It's like, I believe it's like the Allied bombers. It's like all these bombers show up. A missile drops into the room that Indiana Jones is in, and then just falls through the floor. It doesn't just hit and explode like missiles tend to do. It doesn't go, no, wait, what I'll do is I'll fall through this roof, and then I'll open up a hole and slowly fall under the floor, and then continue to do that, not just explode. I've never, even though in this particular segment of the film, a missile just hits and it explodes. So I don't know what that was about. But it's just this missile that comes and sinks through the floor. So I don't know what that was about. So that falls sort of down a certain amount of floors and then explodes. Of course, it kills everyone in the room but Indiana Jones. There's like Nazis standing around him watching him hang. They all get wiped out. Indiana Jones, he's fine. He's fine. And that's not the first time we get something like that. We've got something that's a lot more egregious than that at the end of this segment. So that's what happens. He manages to get free of the rope that he was being hung from. Where do we go there? So the Nazis then find this Basil, like a new character. That's Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character's dad. It's what's his name? I always forget the actor's name, but he shows up in everything. It's the guy that was, if you go back to Captain America: The First Avenger, he's the sidekick to the Red Skull. Is that actor. So there's the Nazis have all these artifacts that they're currently putting into a train. I guess they're beginning to flee because of the Allied bombers. So they're sort of loading the trains up. So then, with Indy now escaping, he goes outside. He's in front of all these Nazis. He steals like a Nazi uniform, and then what he does, he walks up to this car. There's a Nazi soldier inside at the steering wheel. Indiana Jones walks up, punches him in the face. There's loads of Nazis behind him. Loads of Nazis behind it. None of them see this. It's like in clear view. He punches him in the face and drags the Nazi out of the car. Again, in front of people. Then he gets in the car. And then like a load of Nazi generals come in and get in the car. They were all walking towards it. They were all walking towards him as he punched this guy and dragged him out of the car. The body is right there on the ground, and nobody sees it. Nobody sees it. And this is we're now like 3 minutes into the film. But they've clearly, I guess they've tried to mimic, certain other aspects. Like it's supposed to be, funny, I guess. When it's like, you take The Last Crusade. Remember Indy goes and he gets the journal back, and then he accidentally bumps into Hitler, and then Hitler signs his book. Whereas that makes a lot more sense because Hitler doesn't know who he is. So I guess they're trying to go for something similar to that. But here it's just like, no, people should notice that. They really, really should notice that, but they just don't. Toby Jones. Oh, is that What, the actor that plays Basil in this? I always forget his name. I might as well have a little look. So I just every time I forget his name. Let me just see if it comes up. I wouldn't. Yeah, Toby Jones. That's it. That's the guy's name. Yeah, I always forget what his name is. So you now have Indy driving this car. He's got two Nazi generals in the back that just, don't recognize. He puts like a helmet on so they don't notice who he is. To them, he's just the driver. Right, so where do we go there? So, yeah, so now he's driving them. He's got there's two motorcycles behind him, or where they drive in front of him. It's like the motorcycles with the box on the side of it. So you have a guy on the motorbike, a guy sitting beside him. So they have them. I'm trying to. Oh, it's so forgetful, this film. So why am I just? I've got my notes here, but I'm trying to decode them. So yeah, so then they come to this junction. Or like this, like there's another road that goes down that way. He's supposed to be going that way. He overdoes. He's got like ages to be able to turn. Yet he goes like that with the steering wheel, like he was gonna miss it. It's like, no, you've got ages to go. So he swerves and all that when he had all that time to do that. And then the Nazis on the motorcycles go, what the fuck's going on? He's going the wrong way. And then the Nazis in the back, they're now like, oh, this guy isn't with us. So would they not just instantly shoot him in the head? But they just sit there screaming. I guess they don't want to crash. That's all I can really think of for why they wouldn't in some way try to stop him. But they just sit in there, yell. You have a motorcycle pulls up beside him, just points a gun at him and doesn't do anything. So Indiana Jones opens the door, knocks the gun out of his hand, and then jumps onto the motorcycle after putting his helmet on the pedal, so the car just continues to go. So he's now on the motorbike. He's on the motorbike part. There's another guy in the little sidecar. So what he does, he drives into a tree. With so the sidecar hits into a tree, and then Indiana Jones, the motorbike continues going. It's like, no, you would both come off. Like the hitting something that hard, you would be thrown that way, or where you would just wrap around the tree. But it's like, oh no, it just comes off. So they're already just defying physics. I don't think it would work like that. You would both just come off of it. So then he gets to the train that's going off, and the CGI is fucking abysmal. Some of it, like it's really really obvious. It looks really awful. You have him running along the top of a train, because films still think you can just run on a train and fight on a train. All that wind coming towards your face. I mean, if anybody's watched Archer, they show what it's actually like in that, in probably the funniest way. All that wind and all that dust fucking bashing into your eyes. So he's running along this train. I don't really think you can run. Maybe a fast walk against all that wind coming to you. So that's kind of where we leave him. The Nazi general is questioning Basil about, who sent you, what was your mission. Basil just says, oh, I'm just a professor, an archaeologist at Oxford. Already, I'm like, why did Indy bring you with him? It's someone that really isn't in the best position at like where he should be. He's not really up to the task. It's just a very weird partner that he has. It's not like someone similar to him. So that's a little strange. So then you have Indiana Jones is still looking for this what's it called, this Lance of Longinus. He's going by looking through the roof ceilings, and like it shows you, like, he barely looks in the window. Like the first one we see him look at, he just goes, nah, not in there. But then the second one, he gets down, has a good look, and there's like a box in there that has the name of what it is written across the top of it. So, you know, again, everything in this film is just very, very convenient. It's like, I need to find, oh, it says exactly what it is on the box. The Nazis took the time to write in black paint what this item was in the box. Not just like a little thing on the side of the box that says what it is. But, you know, I guess it's not really a problem in the grand scheme of things. So the Nazis are continuing to interrogate Basil. They have Indiana Jones's journal that has a drawn picture of the Lance of Longinus. So yeah, it just kind of cuts back and forth between Basil and Indy. So Indiana Jones goes down inside the train. He walks into one of the doors, and then he's like, "Oh no, there's Nazis in here." You look through the window. You must have known. You must have known there was some Nazis in there. So they just did the thing of, he just pretends like he's the general. He just kind of acts as though that's the case. And then he just walks in between the guards, picks the box up, and then they go, "Oh right, you're not with us." They just like realize it straight away. They stop him, and then he just runs off and locks the door behind him. For some reason, in this first segment, the Nazis have a really hard time of getting through doors when they've got guns. You know, there's one door that comes up. Indiana locks it, and they don't think to shoot it or anything like that, or try and break it down. It's not like a big lock. It's just a little, a little slider. It's a wooden door in a wooden frame. I'm like, you can't break that down. No, instead what they do is they go round the train on the outside. Yeah, but that's a little later in this part. So the Nazi general is still interrogating Basil. He's like, "Why were you looking for the Lance of Longinus?" Because of its power. And Basil's like, "It doesn't have any power. It's me and my friend. We're just trying to save history." How's it going, Biffa? Right, so then, honestly, the amount of stuff, it is just really just, things and things and things. So then, yeah, so Indy's picked up that, and then Indiana Jones realizes, oh, this Lance of Longinus is a fake. It's not a real one. And then that's when we cut to Voller. Voller has Archimedes' dial, the dial of destiny. Because Voller has realized, oh, that spear, that lance is a fake. But what we do have is the Archimedes' dial. So then as Indiana is making his way through all the different cabins, you know, he comes in one that's like the food hall and sits down so nobody notices him, and then makes his way past the Nazis that are looking for him. And then he finds like his hat and his whip and like his jacket and everything. He goes in and he finds Basil. Basil is like tied up in that same room. Then they go into the... I'm just making sure I'm not missing anything here. Then they go into the next room, and Voller is in there sitting down. He gets up, and Indiana Jones puts his hat over his face and then punches him. And then they like continue running through the train. And then, yeah, then that's when you get the... because Indiana locked the door, it's like a little slider thing in a wooden frame. That means that's easily kickable. You can kick that down, or you can just fucking shoot it. They have guns, but rather than do that, the Nazis decide we're gonna shimmy round the side of the train and over the top of it, rather than just going, we'll break this door down and catch up with them. So with Indy and Basil reaching the end of the train, you have the Allied bombers flying around the train. They're at the end of the train. There is a big Gatling gun with like people piloting it, shooting up at the bombers. And then luckily a missile out the bomber comes down, hits the Gatling gun. The person that was on it, rather than just get blown to smithereens, he gets stuck on the gun, on the big Gatling gun, like attack. So it continues to shoot. The Gatling gun just keeps going, and this Gatling gun kills about hundreds and hundreds of Nazis, except our two main characters. So that's probably the biggest like issue in this like first segment. It's just like that fucking Gatling gun. It's like, no, it still operates. It's only going to kill the Nazis, though. It's not going to kill the main characters. It's going to kill hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, except our main characters. So that's incredibly lucky already. So then it's like the boss fight on the top of the Nazi train. Again, a lot of the action, I didn't really give a fuck. Like throughout the entire film, I didn't care about the action. In fact, talking about one of the worst things in this part, we're probably actually coming up to like an even worse part, I think. So that's what happens. You know, they're fighting on top of the train. The Nazi general is, because there's tunnels and stuff like that, so they got to duck for them. The Nazi general pushes Indiana up on the tunnel roof. That's got to do a bit of damage to you, but he seems to be perfectly fine after that. And then he beats him. You know, he gets Basil to shoot the general as he's fighting him. But then Voller, he comes up on the train and points a gun at them and says, "Give me back the dial," because I forgot to mention, Indiana took the dial off Voller. So Indiana Jones throws a bag, which assumedly that has the dial inside, but he's taken it out. So Voller grabs this, and then they come to, you know, if you look at train tracks, I guess it's like a water. It has water in it at the side, and it's got a big pipe sticking out over the top of the train. So with this train going over 100 miles per hour, Indiana hops over it so he doesn't bang into it, but because Voller is hanging onto the side of the train, this pipe fucking cements him right in the face, and he goes flying. He survives that. He survives it. This big solid metal pipe going at over 100 miles per hour towards it, hits him in the face. He's still alive. It was like something out of a Marvel movie. You know, when you have like a superpowered person that, yeah, damage like that's not going to do anything to him, but like the sound of it, it's like, no, if you're a regular human, you are dead after hitting that. So that's probably the worst part that we get there. It's like, no, Voller's dead. Can't have the movie now because he should be dead. He shouldn't be able to come back in a certain amount of years and get the dial back. It's like, no, he just had a head-on collision at over 100 miles per hour with a massive metal pipe. He's alive. Unbelievable. So that's just fucking hell. I honestly did hysterically laugh at how funny that was. That no one would survive that. He's dead. That's kind of the end of that. We can't continue now. We can't continue the story. So that's what happens, and then eventually they get to a bridge. The Allied bombers are about to bomb the bridge, so both Indy and Basil jump off into the water, and they're fine. They have the dial, so they walk off and go home, and that's the opening part of the film. 20 minutes, again just riddled with issues, and then just really like bad ones. Like Voller surviving, the Gatling gun. So there's a lot of fucking mental stuff in there. But now we can jump into the present day, which is 1969. We get to see what they've turned Indiana Jones into. It's really fun. It's really fun what they do with Indiana Jones. So it turns out we sort of fade into Indiana Jones's shambles of an apartment. I don't know why his apartment is like that. I guess if it's for a certain reason. We find out that Indiana Jones's son, Mutt Williams, he died in Vietnam, so he's dead. They try and do something with that, but as I said at the start of this, they're trying to do like different things. So they'll have like something that will come up to do with that, and then they'll forget about it. Nothing is resolved about it. It's just, now they've killed his son off. I don't know why they've done that. So we then fade over. He's asleep in his little armchair, just in his boxer shorts. He looks really depressed. He gets woken up by his neighbors with loud music. So because he's like 8 years old, because that's what we always wanted to see, an 8-year-old Indiana Jones. He goes down to his neighbors. He takes a baseball bat with him for some reason. It's like, what are you gonna do to him? He just uses it to knock on the guy's door. And he's just like, it's 8 a.m., Larry. We talked about this. And then Larry says, that was on a work day. And then Indiana says, this is a work day, Larry. And they're like, it's Moon Day, Mr. Jones. I guess the day that, astronauts went to the moon. That's sort of when it's set. Yeah, he probably is depressed because he's in this fucking film. I'm really surprised Harrison Ford went for this. I really am. So then he goes back upstairs. He's now changed into his work clothes, his suit. And then there's divorce papers. He's getting a divorce from Marion. Why? I don't know. They got married in the last film. Things seemed a bit hunky-dory. Now he's getting a divorce now. He's a depressed old man who's getting divorced. His son's dead. Nothing's going right in Indiana Jones's life. He's also about to get forcefully retired. He's being pushed into retirement because the university's fucking sick of him. So just all that. But yeah, as you say, Jonathan, there's just you can never have a bit of optimism. You can't just come back to a sort of legacy character and it's all going really well in his life. You just can't fucking see it. They just can't do it. Can't have a bit of optimism, just a little bit, just a tad. No, we can't do that. So he's getting a divorce. There's a picture of Marion on the fridge. He puts a magnet over her face. I'm surprised you would still have the picture up, but okay, I guess. So then he goes to work. Nobody's interested in what he's got to say. He's teaching these kids. They're just like, they're not even paying attention. When it's like, really? Like, Indiana Jones is boring. You compare that to, like, Raiders. It's like, you've got girls in the class that are in love with him. Everyone's, like really interested in what he's got to say. And then you come here, it's just like, nah, boring old guy. Who wants to listen to him? So nothing is going right. And then that's when we get our first look at Helena. And it took me about 2 seconds to go, I already hate you. Because she just has this like smirk on her face. Like she's like flipping cards and looking at a smirk. It's like, fuck off. So it didn't take very long to just, you know, I really don't like you already. I guess some of it's partly to do with the stuff I've already heard about her. But just like that look on her face, I'm like, yeah, you're going to be really annoying, aren't you? um, so then he's asking the class, oh, do you know what will happen? Or, you know, he's asking them a question about what he's teaching. So then Helena answers, you know, she knows everything about it. That happens a lot throughout the film. She knows everything. Not very much to learn in this film, unfortunately. So they then run like a TV into his classroom, so everyone's just ignoring him and they're paying attention to the moon landing. I think it's the moon. I can't remember now, but it's Moon Day, so you know it must be 1969. Yeah, that's when it was done. So then he goes into the sort of where all the teachers go, the teachers' lounge. It turns out he's been forced into retirement because when he leaves the place, he gives his gift that the school gave him to a homeless man. So it does seem as though he's being pushed in that he doesn't actually want to retire. So nothing seems to be going his way at this point in his life. So that's when you get Helena. She follows him to a bar. There's like this woman following her. It's like this black woman with like an afro. She turns out to be like a CIA agent or something like that. She's helping the Nazi guy. I don't know why. So then we before we get the conversation between Helena and Indy, you go to Voller's hotel room, and there's like a guy bringing up food. You've just got this big brute of a guy. He's pissing about with his guns, cleaning them, stuff like that. That we're told by the crazy guy that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever that, oh, you know, take his food in, don't leave it on the wheels. He doesn't like that. He says, oh, that guy there, he put those astronauts on the moon. And then Voller says to this, it's a black guy. He says to him, he says to this black guy, where are you from? The guy says, the Bronx. And then Voller's like, no, your people. Where did your people come from? So the guy's just like not having it. So Voller just kind of forgets that. He goes, did you fight for your country? The guy says, yeah, I was involved in the, you know, storm in Normandy. He's like, and then Voller says, are you enjoying your victory? And then Voller goes on to say, you didn't win the war. Hitler lost the war. So that means they won the war then. If someone loses, ultimately, someone usually wins. So that already, it's like, that doesn't really make sense, does it? You didn't, that's like the ultimate cope. Oh, you didn't win the war. Hitler lost it. Yeah, I know, he lost it, meaning there was winners. So what a dickhead. Yeah, I guess the other strange thing is why is he making it obvious that he's a Nazi to this random guy? I don't really get, I guess it's for our benefit, but at the same time, it's like a little strange that you're telling this guy. He just brought in your lunch. He doesn't want your life story. You wouldn't openly be like, yeah, I'm a Nazi. Because that's how it comes across from what he says. The guy even looks at him like, oh, right. You're one of those. So that's already a little strange. So then we go to the Indy and Helena conversation. She's talking about, I just graduated in archaeology. I'm trying to get my doctorate. I'm studying Archimedes' dial. She goes on to say it's this mysterious clock that was found on a Roman ship off the coast of Greece. And my father had all these journals. He was obsessed with it until the end. He told me that you found it on a Nazi train and then lost it in a river in the French Alps, and she wants Indiana to go and find it with her. She says, "Oh, we can find it, and I can become famous and renowned, and Indiana Jones, you can be back in the saddle on another adventure." So she's not giving him a lot of reason to go along with it. A lot of the stuff, she's a liar, and she's a bit of a piece of shit, to be honest. Not a likable person. She's very, I guess, materialistic. She only cares about getting money for these items. And it's just like, yeah, you can do that, but can you at least have something likable about her if you're going to do that? Whereas you have Indiana Jones, he cares about it, protecting the history, saving it, putting it in a museum, things like that. So, yeah, even the stuff with like, oh, it will be Indiana Jones back in the saddle for a new adventure. It's like, you don't even know him. It's like, yeah, he's your godfather, but do you really know him? You've only just been invented. Never come up before. So, he asks, why are you chasing the thing that drove your father crazy? She's like, wouldn't you? So it's obviously, oh, remember The Last Crusade? Indiana Jones's dad was obsessed with, something drove him crazy. So that's the conversation we get. Like the next scene, we have the CIA, or at least some of them are CIA. They just turn up at the university. Indiana Jones and Helena have now transported from the bar into the university. It's like it's really jarring. It's just like, yeah, but we're just there. They never said, right, let's head to the university. We just kind of cut that scene, and then the CIA are like, oh, they're in the university. Right, that's fucking strange. Yeah, I think most people would agree there's only 3 Indiana Jones movies. Don't need anything else after that, do we really? So yeah, so Indy and Phoebe Waller-Bridge are now they're in the university to retrieve this dial. He put it in a drawer. It's in a drawer. That's very lucky, considering what we're about to be told. So he's just explaining to Phoebe that Basil became obsessed with this German theory. It's conjecture, really. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. Indiana Jones doesn't believe that, like, this theory about this dial is anything. There's a reason I highlight that now, but we'll get to it in a second. And Archimedes figured out there was irregularities in the rotation of the planets that might explain fluctuations. Your father thought this could predict fissures in time. I guess cracks in time, something like that. And then the CIA, what I guess we're supposed to believe they are at the moment. I know at least one of them. The black woman is a CIA agent. That's kind of all I know. The rest of them, I don't think they are. So they're like outside listening in, and then a teacher, because they're in the university that Indiana Jones taught at. A teacher walks up. She's like, "Oh, there's guys here flipping through like Indiana Jones's office," and she's like, "Oh, are you police?" She's a bit suspicious of them. She's like, "Are you police?" And the black woman's like, "Yeah, it's just we're just investigating something." For some reason, they don't say, "Yeah, we're the police." They don't think to say that. So that woman walks off, and she's like shouting someone, and then the crazy guy that's really, really fucking stupid, he just shoots that woman. And then another guy comes and he just shoots him as well. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? You could have just said, we're the police. Instead, you've went, no, I'm going to kill these innocents. Because I'm crazy. That's all it seems like it is. Like, oh, we've got to have the bad guys shoot innocent people so then we know that they're the bad guys. We can't just have them say, we are the police investigating something. You can't just say that. No, they're just like, no, I'll kill you. Right, okay. So you're not dealing with smart villains. It's really the most generic, boring kind that are just really stupid. So already that's very funny. They haven't went in the archive room to get, because they're after Helena. They're trying to get her, and these CIA agents are working for Mads Mikkelsen. They're working for him. So that's what we get there. You know, the crazy guy's just like, I'm doing what the doctor tells me. No witnesses. Well, you could have just said we're police, but okay. And then you cut back into the room where Indy's having this conversation. He's like, I took the dial off of Basil to stop him thinking about it. He was going crazy about it. He found a tablet that told you where to get the other half. Something like that. And then Phoebe Waller-Bridge says, I knew you wouldn't destroy it. And Indiana Jones is like, how do you know he asked me to destroy it? So it's like, so Indiana Jones has made a promise to his friend about this device that was making him crazy, that he would destroy it. He thinks this dial of destiny is utter bullshit, doesn't think it's a real thing, yet he keeps it. When it's like, oh, well, that's very lucky. That's very lucky, considering you were asked to destroy it. Because if you followed through with it, like you probably should have, because you didn't believe anything about it, we would have ended the movie right there at the half-an-hour mark. That would be it done. But that's honestly really strange that he would hold on to it, even though he's promised to destroy it. You know, he thought what his friend's theories about this. He thought it was all bullshit. He's like, nah, it's not real. So for what reason do you still have it? You know, he does mention something about, it belongs in a museum or something. You've had it in a drawer. You've just had it in a drawer. So if it was about, I want to keep it because it's a part of history, you would have put it in a museum. You wouldn't just put it in your drawer. So there's a lot of this that just isn't really adding up. It's just very reliant on something that, you know, he should have followed through with. Because if he had destroyed that, again, we'd be done. We wouldn't be able to continue after that. It would have been destroyed. But he just has it, even though he called it conjecture. Meaning it's not, you know, there's nothing to it. And you would think if a friend asked you to destroy it, you'd destroy it. You know, I don't know why you wouldn't. So that's basically that. And then the agents come in. Helena runs off and she locks Indiana Jones in with the people that are after her. They don't just grab Indy. It's this old guy, like moving very slowly. They don't just grab him. He like grabs a stool and bangs it into a guy. It's like, you must have seen that coming. But no, he's just like wandering about. They won't just grab him. They're just like, Dr. Jones, we're not going to hurt you. Or that, at least the black woman that is like the field agent. Whereas the other ones, I guess they're Nazis as well. They're American, but I assume they're also Nazis. Some of them, at least, or they're really interested. Well, I don't really know. I don't really know this. Again, with these villains, there's not really much explained about them. Like, it's like, so why is that guy working for Voller? Why does he also want to go back in the past to make it so the Nazis won? Like, why is he helping him out? I don't know. You know, all this time, like 2 hours and 20 minutes of a film, and there's like no explanation on people's motivations. Like, it's fucking shit. It really is shit. So that crazy guy has basically messed. Like, they could have just walked in, grabbed them, but they didn't need the theatrics. They could have just grabbed them. So the villains are really just incompetent, nothing competent about them. I always find it funny that these villains are supposed to be very smart employ imbeciles. Like, why is that? You know, it's the same thing with, like, Secret Invasion we've had at the moment, where Olivia, what's-her-face, she employs these people that she sees as she puts it, media. It's just very strange. Why are you hiring people that are, like, just retarded? I don't understand it. I do not understand it at all. So Helena, she runs off, jumping across rooftops. She gets away, but they manage to get Indiana Jones because of Helena. She locks him in the room with them, so he can't escape. I mean, I guess not that he really could. He is 80 years old, so I don't really see him getting away. Although it's fucking Lucasfilm, we've had a little girl be able to run away from, like in Obi-Wan Kenobi, run away from grown men. So that's not really. I'm surprised we didn't get something like that, like Indiana Jones slowly running away, and these guys like just can't catch him. I kind of wish they did do that, because it would actually allow for a fucking laugh in this depressing film. But yeah, but he does, well, he escapes for a bit. What he does is that they watch him as he knocks these shelves on top of them, and don't think to stop him. So he gets away for a bit. He realizes that they've killed his co-workers. So you get a moment where he kind of realizes this and goes down. And I did quite like that little touch. Although it just goes straight back to chase music. So he like stops and he realizes they're dead. He calls up the police and says, "Oh, there's been 2 people have been murdered," and then he gets taken away by the Nazis. But yeah, again, they do have moments like that where they recognize what has happened. But then if you just cut back to like orchestral chase music, it's like a little bit tonally like out of place. Like, oh, these people have died. Oh, it's sad music. Back to chasing. We're chasing everybody. It's like, that's like really strange. So yeah, we get like another moment like that later on. So they now have Indy. They've put him in a truck. The funny thing about this film, as I think I've seen some people point out, it's funny that it's the black woman saying slurs and not the Nazis. She goes up to that crazy guy and she's just like, she had the dough in her hands, you trigger-happy cracker. It's like, calm down. I mean, I thought the Nazis were bad. I guess you had Voller questioning a man about where he was from. We know how racist that is. So yeah, they have Indy in this truck. They're questioning him. We find out that, oh, she's his goddaughter. Well, that's what he tells them. He even goes on to call the dial, it's an ancient hunk of gears. Like, it's worthless to me. You know, why do you want it? It's shit. It's just like, why did you hang on to it then? You were told to destroy it. You promised. And again, it's like you've got no belief in what it is. Which I guess is a little strange considering you're fucking Indiana Jones and you've dealt with things of this nature before. Although things, you know, again, they still fucked up by going the route of aliens and time travel rather than just, you know, religious relics. They went a bit too far with it. So that's basically how he sees this dial, an ancient hunk of gears. But he kept this dial all along, even though he thinks it's bullshit. So again, it's just I don't know, it's fucking really stupid. So you have the driver, like the driver of the truck, because there's a parade going on. He almost drives into the parade. I don't know how he didn't see it. I don't know how he didn't realize that there was a parade going on, meaning it'd be a lot harder to get places. So then he's like, well, I can't go this way. And then he backs up and slams into a taxi behind him. I don't know how he didn't see it. But I guess the only reason for that is so they then have to go on foot, meaning Indy can now escape. I guess that's the only reason for it. So that's what happens. So they're now off on foot. And then Indy starts trying to, get the crowd going or something like that. And he eventually turns around and punches the Nazi guys. So you didn't think to cuff him? They didn't think to put cuffs on him. I know he's an old guy, but still, it's like he can still punch someone. So he like runs off. He runs off to a cop. And this is like, he runs off to a cop after the crazy guy shot up into the air and then went to shoot Indiana Jones, but gets stopped by the field agent woman. And like Indy runs up to these cops, and none of them are responding to the gunshot. None of them are like, that fucking gunshot, and heading off down where it happened. They're like oblivious to it. So he runs up to the cop. There's also another cop behind him on a motorbike. The crazy guy comes up, and the crazy guy knocks the policeman off his motorbike. The other cop that was there disappears. Like there was another cop that's seen him knock another police officer out, and that cop just nowhere to be seen. Like he's just completely disappeared. So Indiana then jumps on a horse. So we've got our first big chase that goes on forever. And it gets all these chases are so tiring. They're so tiring. They're not interesting. It's just, there's a chase now, and we're going to do it for 15 minutes. It's like really boring. There's nothing really interesting about it or unique. Whereas, like, you look at the original 3 films, there's always very unique things, unique chases. There's always something unique about them that you haven't seen in other things. Whereas here it's just like, yeah, I've seen loads of things like that before. And that's kind of there's nothing inventive going on. So he's now run off on a horse. The guy is on a motorbike. For some reason, a horse is able to outrun a motorbike. Yeah, sure. And then, like, he eventually gets cornered. So then he runs down into the subway, starts running along the train tracks. He's also now faster than a train. A horse is now faster than a train that goes hundreds of miles an hour. So that goes on for a bit. He then makes it to another platform and jumps onto it and jumps on a train and escapes. So he's gone, and Voller is told about this. He's up in his hotel room. He's told about your guys are fucking shit. They just created chaos. We couldn't get them. What you should do is you've got to go and visit the president and get your little medal for getting us to the moon. And then he's just like, secure as a charter to Morocco. So he's going to go, he's already, there's a file on Helena that tells them that, she's going to go and try and sell this relic at the auction. So that's how they know to go there. Because I think she was arrested or something like that over there, so it's in the files. So they're just like, she's going to Morocco, so that's where they're gonna go. And then we get it kind of turns into The Fugitive, like that's what it starts turning into. Because now, like we cut to like night. Indiana Jones is watching these television screens at a store. And he's now wanted for murder. They think he murdered his co-workers. So now it's just like, again, there's always certain things that come up where it's like, oh, you had another idea, didn't you, of what the film was going to be, where it's now turned into Harrison Ford in The Fugitive. So there's like a guy that comes up beside him, and the guy says to him, "Oh, you look a lot like him." So Indiana Jones thinks, I'm going to look you dead in the face and say that isn't me, rather than putting my head down and kind of walking away. You're just like, no, I'm gonna give you the full picture so you can figure out that's who I am. And then Salah, he shows up and knocks this guy the fuck out, and then takes Indy off in his taxi. Salah has now moved to New York, and he's a taxi driver. Right, okay. So he's a taxi driver now. They go to his house, where Salah knows everything about everything, because we need the plot to continue. So he's like, Helena was arrested in Tangier last year for auctioning contraband. She was bailed out by Aziz Rahim, the son of a mob boss, who this week is hosting an annual auction of stolen antiquities. So it's just like, you know, everything we need for the story to continue. It's we got it in the sort of laziest way possible. We meet his grandchildren, and Salah's like, this is the man who brought our entire family to America during the war. He goes on to talk to Indiana. He's like, you know, have you thought about calling Marion? Indy's like, she doesn't want to talk to me for reasons. She wants to divorce me. So he's like, right, I need you to take me to the airport. Maybe don't go there if you're wanted. That's maybe not the best plan. There may be wanted posters already. You've been on the TV. And you're like, I'm going to go to the airport. I'm not going to get seen anyway, because the script says that. The script says, oh no, he doesn't get caught. So I'm not going to get caught. So he goes to the airport. He's going to go off to Tangier to find Helena and the dial. Otherwise, he won't be able to get out of this jam. He won't be able to prove his innocence in the murder of these two people. I don't know why he needs the dial for that. Why do you need the dial to prove? You know, I can understand Helena, but what exactly is the dial going to prove? You're just going to hand the dial in. Oh, I'm innocent. It's just a piece of metal. You know, to the US justice system, that would just be a piece of metal. That's not going to go, all right, you're innocent now. So I don't, but you know, again, the Helena part, yeah, it's like, yeah, you know, she can testify. So yeah, it turns out Salah has been to Indiana Jones's apartment to get his hat and whip. The police weren't sitting outside it. They didn't question Salah about, you know, what you doing up there. You know, they didn't think, oh, there's someone getting stuff out of his apartment. Let's follow him, and he may take us to the person we're after. No, that didn't happen, apparently. So then Salah's like, you know, I've got my passport. I want to come with you. And he's like, and Indy's like, listen, those days have come and gone. Yet we're still continuing to pump out another Indiana Jones film. Salah's like, I miss the desert, the sea, and the next adventure. And then that's when you get the part, like, Indiana Jones begins to walk away, and Salah's like, you know, remember, Indiana Jones is a wanted man. So Salah shouts, give him hell, Indiana Jones. You just said his fucking name. He's wanted. What are you saying that for? So, you know, other than that, it's part of the scene is okay. Like, in that you just, you know, you have this guy just wanting to go on the next adventure, very optimistic about it. And he shouts, give him hell, Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones walks across the road and almost gets hit by a car. So they're doing that Marvel humor with this, where it's like you have a nice sort of scene between the two. No, we've got to have Indiana Jones almost get hit by a car, and it's not even funny. It's not funny in the slightest. Like, you'll kind of notice that a lot about this movie is, like, the jokes don't land. Whereas you take the original 3, there's some funny fucking jokes in there. In here, there's nothing. It's just, oh, he almost got hit by a car, right? I don't see how that's genius comedy. So they do that. And then, so now he's traveling on the plane. He got through the airport without getting recognized. That's lucky. And then we get, like, a flashback of an argument with Basil. Like, Basil goes to destroy the dial with a hammer, and Indiana Jones stops him, even though he thinks it's a load of old bullshit. He says, oh, it belongs in a museum. That's why he kept it in a drawer for 20 years. Because it belongs in a museum. And then Indy promises, I will destroy it. And then he doesn't for reasons. Because otherwise, we wouldn't be able to have the plot continue. And then Helena, a young Helena, brings out his hat to the car, and that's it. So no new information. It's like you already told us all this about that he made you promise to destroy it. So I'm like, I don't really see the point in this. It wasn't something that we needed. But again, a lot of this film seems to be cobbled together from multiple reshoots and things of that nature. So that's why everything just kind of feels out of place. It's like, if we've already been told that, like, we don't need a scene as well. We don't need another flashback to show us that. When we already know. So then we finally get to Tangier. Indy arrives at the hotel where this auction is going on. He overhears Helena, so she's in the other room trying to sell the dial. It's like she says, "Oh, it's a private auction," yet it's like in the open, so it's not really private, is it? We then meet Moroccan Short Round. He's fuck off. The Moroccan Short Round is Phoebe Waller-Bridge's like sidekick. And it's starting to come across how desperate they are for her to be a somewhat version of Indiana Jones. And the Moroccan Short Round is just, I guess, he's just there for convenience. Like, anything we need the plot to do, oh, he knows how to do it. Oh, he bumps into people. Oh, he realizes there's a car down there with the keys in it. He's kind of that character. He's very... There's nothing interesting to say about him. You go back to Temple of Doom. Short Round in that film's great. Your first your introduction to him is he's driving a car with wooden blocks, like, tied round his feet. It's like, very, like, interesting stuff. Here it's just like, oh, it's Moroccan Short Round. That's it. That's all it is. We do get something funny with him later on. Again, not funny as in, oh, that was a bit embarrassing. Did you not realise what you wrote there? So, like, he tries to stop Short Round tries to stop Indiana Jones from going in this auction. We also have Moroccan Short Round learning how to fly with bits of paper. There's a pilot in this hotel, and he's got, like, little fake dials and stuff like you would have in a plane, and he's being taught to learn how to fly, only you can't learn how to fly by doing it that way. The only way you learn how to fly is actually by fucking doing it. Being taught it, firsthand. But it's just like, nah, he's got some paper dials and a little fake thing. Oh, he knows how to fly now. So that's the reason for that. Even though, because they're going to have him fly a plane later on. He's like 14 years old. Never flown a plane before. So that's the reason for that. So the Moroccan Short Round tries to stop Indiana Jones from going into this auction. Phoebe Waller-Bridge says to Indiana, This is a private auction, yet it's in the middle of a hotel. She says to him, your hat makes you look at least 2 years younger. And then it's, it goes into the whole thing about, I didn't murder those people. I need you, do you want to explain this to the cops at the bar? And she says, what, you mean the ones that I paid off? You're out of your depth, Jonesy. So she's very disrespectful. She's a big asshole. You're out of your depth, Jonesy. Right, okay. She's like, he thinks I'm the criminal. He's the one wanted for murder. Yeah, do you want to know the reason why those people were murdered? That's because of you, Helena. Because you brought these people into this place, seemingly knowing full well what they were capable of, or what they were after. So, if you're going to be like that, I'll just blame you for their murders. That's what I'll do. No, she definitely does not. She's not nice at all. You're out of your depth. Just really annoying. So then, of course, Voller turns up. He knew exactly where she'd be as well. At the exact... Voller knew at the exact time that she would be selling this. I mean, it'd be funny if he shown up and nobody's there. So it's just, every time it's just like, oh, we need Voller to show up. Oh, he shows up. That's all we're going to do for it. Indy's like, you seem familiar. He's like, nah, not me. Indy says, are you still a Nazi? And he's like, no, my name is Schmidt. And then Voller's like, that relic is my property. I want it back. Apparently, he's had dealings with Helena before. So Helena knew exactly who this was and thought to bring this danger to Indiana Jones and his co-workers. Great. So then we get the part out of the trailer where Indiana Jones says, you stole it. And then Voller says, then you stole it. And then Helena says, and then I stole it. It's called capitalism. I find it funny that that's in a film made by a $1 billion corporation. It's funny, that, isn't it? So then you get the part in the trailer where Indy brings out his whip and starts whipping about the place, and they all pull guns on him and shoot and don't like move direction. Like he ducks under the table, and they just continue firing straight. They don't go, oh, he's gone down, let's bring our guns down and aim here. They're just like, now we're just gonna stand here and just point straight and just keep shooting, wasting multiple bullets and not actually hitting anybody. So then it like the entire hotel just turns into chaos. The dials getting flung over here and over there. Moroccan short round gets it, and then he runs into Voller, and now Voller has it, and Voller has now escaped with the dial. So as Indy and Helena are running out of the building, the police show up and stop them, and then they go away because the mob boss, or the mob boss's son, turns up. I guess the mob that runs Tangier. So the cops leave, and it turns out that this mob boss's son was Helena's fiance. So, and it just gets really strange. This guy starts getting really upset about just like really seems like a 5-year-old, like the way he goes on. He says to her, I thought you'd returned because you love me. And she's like, no, I came to sell an item. And he says to her, I assume that you sold the ring too. And she's like, oh, it didn't go for as much as I thought it would. And then he just kind of like loses his shit. He has to get like held back by his guys. He's like almost crying about it because she doesn't love him. So now we've added that in. So now what's happening is Indiana Jones and Helena, they're chasing after Voller, and Helena's fiance, they're all chasing them. and it's just utter chaos. So we've got another chase going on that goes on for way too long. Like it feels like ages. It's got to be at least 15 to 20 minutes. And again, nothing unique about it. It's just boring. It's just really boring. So yeah, the chase begins as Indiana Jones and Helena are running away through a market. She says to him, "Oh, you almost got me killed, Indy." And then he says to her, "I'm not the one engaged to a mobster." And then she says, "I don't need morality lessons from an aging grave robber. You're literally a thief." That's what Helena is, a thief. And she's like, "Oh, you're a grave robber. I don't need morality lessons from you." It's like, no, you're a thief though. You steal from unsuspecting people. Like even just like regular people they steal from. We see them do it. She's a thief, and she's like, you're a grave robber. Well, first of all, no, he's not. As he points out, says, "I'm not a grave robber." What the fuck are you talking about? But again, it's just funny that it's coming from someone that is a thief. It's like, you're a thief. What are you talking about? You got no leg to stand on. So then she's like, you didn't do it for noble reasons. You did it for the buzz. I'm just that line kind of sounds out of place. It's like, I don't believe people said words like that in 1969. You do something for the buzz. That doesn't sound like a 1969 thing to say. So that's when they get in a tuk-tuk and they chase Voller as the fiancé is chasing them. An 80-year-old Harrison Ford jumps from one tuk-tuk to another. Right, old people can do that apparently. So the conversation continues. Like they're both in separate tuk-tuks. He shouts across to her, "What would your father think? How did you get like this?" And she says, "What you mean, resourceful, daring, beautiful, and self-sufficient." Right. So the one thing I'll say here, see if you want to have a character call themselves beautiful, you better make sure you hire a fucking beautiful actress before you say something like that. I don't know what they were. It's Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Beautiful. Yeah, okay. I guess that makes me Brad Pitt then. So we're basically we're telling the audience what her traits are. Listen, audience, she's resourceful, she's daring, she's beautiful, even though we can clearly tell that she's not, and she's self-sufficient. Right, okay. So it seems like that was in there for Kathleen Kennedy, I guess. She must have asked for that personally. That's kind of what it seems like. And yeah, the kind of impression I get from this chase scene as well is it's really, I guess the term I would use is try hard. Like, it's really like, we've got to have so many things going on to have this really entertaining. It's entertaining, guys, right? We got this guy chasing, that guy chasing. We got all this stuff going on. This is fucking entertaining. That's the impression I get from it. Like, it's really just like you're trying hard, and it's just making it worse. It's not making it better. It's going on for too long. There's nothing interesting about it. It's just driving about in a tuk-tuk. There's too much stuff going on. Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like watching it. So, now Indiana, they're both in the same tuk-tuk. And he's saying, "I just want the dial back." Because he seems to think that will prove his innocence in the murders. Even though not necessarily, because it'd be pretty obvious that you didn't kill your co-workers. So, yeah, whatever. So they then lose Voller. He gets away. Voller runs into the military and gets extracted by the military. He now has the dial. And then we go back to another conversation with Helena and Indy. Indiana Jones is like, if your father was alive, essentially, what would he think of you? And she's like, maybe if there was someone there for me, some father figure that was specifically given the job. Don't beat yourself up. What even is a godfather? Family never was your strong suit. So it's like, what? I don't know why people think a godfather automatically means, right, now I'm your father now. I don't know why people think that. Second of all, it's like, you know, he had his own family. His son died. And you're saying shit. You're saying, oh, family never was your strong suit. His son fucking died. You know, it's another one of those things where the writers haven't quite realised how they've written that. How that comes across. When you're saying, oh, you're not good at families, are you? It's like, your son died. And you're going to say that? Okay. Again, it just makes you come across like an ignorant prick. That's how it comes across. I always laugh at shit like that. When writers just, they don't know what they've written. So she says that, again, making herself look like an utter asshole again. They also stole his dad's watch. You know, she says to him, oh, you know, what's the time? And he looks and he's like, that watch was my father's. So they give it back. But again, she was just calling him a grave robber. And her little Moroccan friend, Short Round, just stole his watch off him. And she's like, oh, you're a grave robber, you are. So Voller is now being taken back. He's now on, like, you know, on a plane with the field agent woman and his henchman. And he's told, oh, the US government have now pulled the plug on this dial that you're chasing down. They've gotten what they wanted. They wanted to get to the moon. They've gotten that out of you. They don't need to go along with this utter nonsense now. They're not going to help you out trying to find this. And he's just like, well, that's because they don't understand. And she says to him, your associates killed 3 unarmed civilians. Because they're fucking idiots. Just going around killing people, raising questions. And then they decide to take over the plane. They shoot the field agent woman. And then Voller says to her, like, tells her his real name. That my name is this, this, and this. You know, essentially, I'm a Nazi. So they've now taken over that plane. And then we go back on the ground in Tangier. You have Teddy, which is he's the Moroccan Short Round. He points up at a helicopter and says, and like tells Indy what kind of helicopter it is. And then he says to Indy, did you know the Wright brothers? Because he's old. But we're doing an old joke, guy. He's old. So he's going to say, did you know the Wright brothers? Even though the Wright brothers, as Indy says, were about in the time of Civil War. So it's just, oh, you're old. And the Moroccan Short Round says, oh, I thought you went to school with them. Again, you know, if you're going to do jokes about someone being old, learn how to write jokes first. Don't just go, oh, you must have went to school with the Wright brothers. Right, okay. It's not funny, though. So, for some reason, it turns out that the Nazis now have Helena's notebook. I don't know why. They just have it for some reason. Like, we never seen them, like, get a hold of her dad's journals. Yet they have them for a reason. Because otherwise there's certain things they won't be able to do unless they have the journal. But again, it's like, if you want to do that, at least show us. But it's just kind of sprung on you later, like now. It's just, oh, they've got the journals. Well, we didn't see them take it. So, you know, I don't know how they got it. And you know, she's like, it's fine because I memorized all these journals. At least the important stuff. She's on about it had the location of the Gravicus. It's like a tablet that has directions to the other half of the dial. So we're just getting MacGuffins on top of MacGuffins. Because I think I did watch, I watched Drinker's review of this, like after I'd got all my notes together and stuff. Uh, and yeah, it's just like, it is like Rise of Skywalker. That's what it's like. There's just MacGuffins. Oh, we got to get this now. You know, it's fetch quests. That's what they do this entire fucking movie. So that's what she says. I've got the location of this place. And then Indy finally, like, he fixes the tuk-tuk that broke down with he puts a bit of chewing gum on the radiator. I don't know if you can do that. At the same time, it's like, so what Indiana Jones did was sat there knowing he could put chewing gum in the radiator of the tuk-tuk and it would work. He waited there all that time to do that. When he like, it seems as though he instantly knew to do it. But yeah, the dial was in pieces. There's two parts of the dial, and then there's a tablet to the direction for directions to, like, because at the moment nobody knows where the second half is, but there's a tablet that gives you directions to where it is. So it's very similar to Rise of Skywalker. In that sense, they've just got all these sort of, you know, MacGuffins that they've got to try and find. So they then make it Indy and the other two twats. They make it to, it's like an old friend of Indiana Jones. It's Antonio Banderas. You know, I like him. You know, I heard his voice. I was like, I could really go and watch Puss in Boots: The Last Wish right now. I'd rather watch that. So he's like his old friend, his old diving friend, and like they go to his boat and stuff like that. So what they've got to do is, you know, as we're about to see, they're on this guy's ship, and Helena figures out where they got to go. She says, you know, back in the day, my dad spoke to these divers that found this Roman shipwreck in the ocean, and that's where they found the first piece of the dial. That's how the piece of the dial got out there, because these divers went into this Roman ship. So they're under the assumption that means these Romans they had the tablet that could direct them to where the other piece is. Whoever these people were that had the part of the dial on their ship. It turns out that these divers didn't go that deep, so they're going to go even deeper. They're going to go 70 feet below to the bottom, like, because part of the ship is like fell to the ocean floor. So that's where they need to go to in order to find this tablet. They just, because they're under the assumption, oh, if they were out here and they had half the dial, they probably had the tablet, meaning they were looking for the other part. So that's why they just assume, oh, the tablet is on this ship. So we then, I guess we have a little break before that. Helena is doing magic, right? Okay, she's like an amazing magician. Then Antonio Banderas goes to bed. So we're just left with Helena and Indy. And Indy has been looking over these dates. There are specific dates. I don't know where the fuck he got it from, but he just has these dates. I'm not sure. I'm not. It's like it's like Voller's notes. I don't know where he got them from. But he says, oh, the two dates are August 20th, 1969, 3 days from now, and the same day in 1939, 2 weeks before Hitler invades Poland. So it's, of course, something to do with, because Voller wants to go back and kill Hitler because Hitler made mistakes, like causing the Nazis to lose. So I guess that's where these dates have come from. And Helena's like, oh, you believe in this dial now, do you? And Indiana Jones, you know, we've all seen his adventures. He says, I don't believe in magic. Really? No, you don't believe in magic. you of all people. He says, but I've seen things that I can't explain. I've come to believe it's not so much what you believe, but how hard you believe it. Yeah, but you've seen all these things though. So you know, whatever. So Helena says the only thing worth believing in is cash. Again, do the writers want me to dislike her? That's all she believes in. You know, nothing else. There's nothing else to her other than cash. Right? Is that all you've got? Is that all you've got? Oh, I believe in cash. Right. Oh, right. Okay. Again, what you would start to think is, oh, she's going to go on an arc where she's going to realize that some things are more important. No. No, they may have think that they may think that they've done that, but they haven't. So that's what you would think they would be going with. Oh, she's gonna have a character arc where she's a bit of a selfish bitch, and then she realizes, oh, actually, what I should be doing is having more prints, you know, things of that like that. But they don't do anything. The movie ends. The movie just ends. So they don't do anything with her to redeem her in any way. Which again, you know, if you're gonna have these characters that are unlikable based off certain things, you need to have other likable qualities. I think the best example is, you know, like Iron Man. Iron Man in Iron Man 1, it's like he's got certain characteristics, like he's flawed. There's certain qualities about him that people like you wouldn't like, but he has other qualities, like, you know, he's having photos with the soldiers and all that. You know, he's all up for that. So, but yeah, they don't. It's always with female characters as well. They don't do that with like modern female characters. They don't think to have a likable quality though. They don't think to have that also. So then she goes on to say, you know, what would you do if you could go back in time? And Indy says, I'd stop my son from enlisting. You know, he did it to piss me off. Did he? Why? You know, okay. Apparently his son joined the military to piss him off. And Helena's like, oh, how would you stop him from enlisting? He says, I'd tell him he was going to die, and tell him that his mother would find no end to her grief, and that his father would be helpless to console her and put an end to their marriage. So you may be thinking, oh right, we're going to do something like, you know, him getting over his son's death or something like that. No, they don't do that either. The movie just ends. The movie just ends. So again, they have these little moments that are somewhat decent, but they don't continue. They don't do anything with it. Like going forward, they just do nothing. So it's like, oh, well, that was pointless then. You know, if you're not gonna, you know, if you're thinking Indiana Jones has an arc in this film, no, not that he necessarily needs an arc. But, you know, it seems as though they think that he's going on an arc, but he doesn't. Again, the film ends. It just ends. Unresolved. Anything that gets brought up like this is, oh, we just have a 2-minute scene. Like, that's it. So we then open on the next day where they're going to dive down and get this tablet. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is looking at a man on the ship saying, oh, promising. That guy gets killed, like, in this scene as well. Apparently she's, like, big on men. They're all attracted to her. all men are attracted to Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I fucking, why didn't they at least get someone that, looked that part, that would be believable in that sense? I don't know why they didn't just get a more interesting actress and have a more interesting character. But no, they didn't do that. It's, again, with having Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Harrison Ford, there's no chemistry. You compare it to Harrison Ford and Sean Connery, they bounce off each other really well. They're really good to watch. Whereas here it's just like, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Nothing meshes well. There's just no chemistry between the two. So, yeah, she comes across, there's a drawer that has dynamite in it. That's going to come handy later on. They're told by Antonio Banderas, they've got 3 minutes to get it. They've got 3 minutes to get down to the bottom of the ocean, get the tablet, and get out. There's something in the water. It's eels, and it's supposed to be, like the Moroccan short round says, oh, they're like snakes. So then Indy goes, they're not like snakes. Again, it wasn't funny. It wasn't funny at all. But that's what they were going for there. Oh, look, Indiana Jones still scared of snakes all these years. Right, yeah, but it wasn't funny, though. It was just, oh, they're not like snakes. And like, that's all it was. So, as they're down in the ocean, they get attacked by a load of eels. They find the tablet instantly. And then just before they come up, Voller inconveniently shows up on another boat. Because he apparently had her father's journals, even though we never actually seen him take them. So that's again, there's always something happening that's, oh, well, that's pretty inconvenient. Now they're going to have the stuff that they need taken off them. Or it's either, the other way around. It's very convenient. So the guy that Helena was ogling over, he dies. They cut his what he's breathing with. And then they come up, Indiana Jones and that, they come up out the water. They have to hand over the tablet to Voller. Voller's like, oh, thanks for getting me that. They go into they bring out the tablet. They don't have anyone that can decode it. So they say to Indy, read this. And he refuses. He's like, nah, I'm not going to decode it for you. So they shoot his friend. They kill Banderas. So he's now dead. That's I don't see how that's going to get Indiana Jones to help you. Because he starts off, he just shoots him in the knee. But then he kills him. It's like, well, yeah, now he's not going to help you, is he? You've now got rid of your entire bargaining chip. You could have shot him in the knee and go, if you don't fucking do this, the next bullet's in the head. No, he just kills him. It's like, right, yeah, now you can't get him to do it. You fucking dumbass. I'm so tired of dumb villains. Every villain is dumb. Every villain in everything these days is so amazingly dumb. So then Helena pipes up and she's like, oh, I'll crack the code for you. I want 100 grand to do it. No, they've got guns. I don't know why you're trying to bargain. You got nothing. They even give her diamonds. They say, oh, this should cover it. It's like, you've got a gun. She's doing it because she doesn't want to die. You don't need to part with a load of diamonds that's worth over 100 grand. Fucking idiots. So yeah, they give her diamonds. It turns out like she tells them, oh, the other half of the dial is in Archimedes' tomb. That's where the other half is. She figures that out from decoding the tablet. And then she starts walking about the room. Like, and the Nazis let her walk about the room. What? Like, no one's keeping an eye on her. You know, again, it's the dynamite. The dynamite in the drawer she's going to get. And they're just letting her walk around the entire ship as she talks. So she grabs the dynamite. She puts it in her pocket. She even shows, like, she walks by Indiana and pulls it out of her pocket and shows him what she's got. There's a guy right behind her. He doesn't see it, though. So no one's really picking up on that. She like takes Voller is smoking a cigarette. She takes that out his mouth so she has something to light the dynamite with. You know, it's lucky at that particular point he was smoking. Otherwise, how the fuck would you light it? How would you light it if that wasn't the case? She then figures out where Archimedes' resting place is. We do find out that she lies to them, which well, that makes it worse for when they just randomly show up. And then she throws dynamite at Voller. Voller kicks it down the stairs, and then the ship there's a big explosion in the ship, and Indy, Helena, and Moroccan Short Round, they leave. They steal the Nazis' boat, and they head off. And then she's like wooing. Helena is driving this boat. She's going woo and all that. And she says, "I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you're in a tight spot, dynamite." And then she continues wooing. And then Indy goes, my friend was just murdered. You know, I like that you recognize that, but again, they forget about it anyway. But yeah, she's like wooing and all. It's like his friend was fucking killed. Again, I like that they are recognizing these things, because the amount of things we deal with where there's no recognition of these events happening is just like, there's so much of that. But at the same time, it's like, all right, now back to it now. Like, there's not really anything else to it. It's just my friend was murdered. There's a bit of awkward silence, and then that's it. He says to her, you know, you told them everything. And then she reveals that, no, I lied to them. The tomb isn't in Alexandria. It's in Syracuse. It's in Sicily. So as they're you know, going off, you have Voller. He's looking at them through some fucking, what are they called? Oh, fucking hell. I always hate, for some reason, I like every now and again, you know, when you just forget a word, like a very obvious word. His binoculars. He starts using his binoculars. We cut back to them, and Indy has realized that this tablet is too heavy for what it's made out of. So he burns the top of it. Is it made out of chocolate? It looks like that. It all melts, and inside the tablet is a big gold, a big bit of gold. And you know, again, Phoebe Waller-Bridge is going, we're going to make lots and lots of the money with this. And then Indy says, no, it's going to the museum. So that's when we're told Archimedes' tomb is in Sicily. Indy says to the Moroccan Short Round, how much fuel have we got? And the Moroccan Short Round says, it's full. Yeah, but the Nazis drove the boat all the way out here. What do you mean it's full? I don't see how it's full. And then the map comes up. You know, the map where we see the red line go across the map. That's a big fucking distance. You are not making that. It is from Greece to Sicily. And they show it on the map. That's a big distance. But no, it's full. It's full. It can, you know, you can get about 500 miles or more. Or 1,000 miles. It is the ocean. And then we get probably one of the weirdest and funniest things I've ever seen in a film is, as I said, you get the map. The map comes up. You've got the red line going across to show where Indiana Jones is going. And then, in the corner of the screen, they fade in Mads Mikkelsen looking through binoculars saying, they're heading west. No, they're heading west, not east. And it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen with something like that. What the fuck are you doing? You know, is that for our benefit? Oh, what we're going to do is we're going to have the map sequence and then Mads Mikkelsen going, they're heading west, not east. I couldn't stop laughing at that. It's like, just why did you do that? Why was that necessary? And it's like, it's as awkward as it sounds. They're not heading west, they're heading east. Right, okay. So it shows Syracuse on the map, so that is where they are. And I'm gonna have a drink because I've been talking for an hour and 45 minutes. I don't know how. Again, every time I do these streams, I'm like, how the fuck have we been going that long? Oh, I've just got a dry mouth. So, continuing on, because we're not far from the end yet, and I'm really looking forward to being done with it. So, you're in Syracuse, you've got Moroccan Short Round, he's sitting on the steps, and you have this rich kid say, look at that kid in a straw hat, because he's poor. So there's people all around with straw hats on. So I don't know what that... the only reason for that is, so Moroccan Short Round goes, I'm going to get you back for that, and steals money off him, goes and buys an ice cream, and then happens across where Voller is. So that's probably the reason for that. And Moroccan Short Round is saying to Helena, why is Indiana Jones now running the show? You know, we were in this for one reason, money. You know, that's all they care about. We get Helena and the female gaze. She starts just randomly, you know, like staring at these guys, and they're like looking at her like they're like, I don't know what they're attracted to. I really don't know what they're attracted to. So Helena goes off to Indiana, goes and talks to him, and that's when Moroccan Short Round runs off and steals money out of the rich boy's pockets, and then inconveniently Voller he walks by a street and looks there and walks through it. Oh, Voller's down on the steps. So Voller, there's no way Voller knows that that's where they went. He does not know, oh, they went to Syracuse. You know, the idea that you've seen them sailing off into the distance and you said, oh, they're going west. Right, that could be anywhere, though, couldn't it? That doesn't mean, oh, they're definitely in Syracuse. But they arrive there like that is the case. There's no like, right, maybe we'll check here and see if we can recognize a boat. You know, they're just there. They just know exactly where to go. So then Moroccan Short Round gets kidnapped by them. Indy then comes along and sees the kid getting kidnapped. So they steal. Indy steals a fucking car. Steals a car. And he's like, oh, they're gonna use him to get the other half of the dial, because Moroccan Short Round has all the information about where to go, about where Archimedes' tomb is. So that's where they're heading up to the tourist attraction, the cave that's up there, to get there before the Nazis do. So they go into the cave. They start yelling. They're like, we got to find the loudest part of the cave. So they get there. They realize there's an opening up there. So they go into it. You've got Indiana Jones climbing up. He's climbing up, and then he just like randomly stops. And she's like, you know, why have you stopped? He's like, I'm thinking. I'm thinking about what I'm doing up here with, you know, my bad back and all that. I'm just like, yeah, you know, I'm kind of the same. You know, what are you doing here? I don't know what you're doing in another movie. So that's just, you know, I'm old. I'm old, guys. So he starts, like, listing off what's happened to him on his adventures. You know, like, I had to drink the blood of the, you know, what do you call it? I've been shot and all that sort of stuff. And then they finally make it into the tomb. They hold on a second. I'm gonna have to double check. Let me just check whereabouts this is. So they go into the tomb. Where first of all they come to this room. That is the, you know, it's in the trailer. It's the little pool of water. They realize, oh, Archimedes was a big fan of water displacement, meaning, oh, we got to put a load of weight on top of this water, and then that opens up a little hatch that we can go under, and that's where Archimedes' body is. And Archimedes' body, first of all, his coffin has a phoenix with propellers, and he has a watch on. Now, you may be thinking, so how exactly did he get that? Well, that's the part that makes no fucking sense. The time travel part, how he came to have a watch, how he came to have a watch 2,000 years ago. They didn't have watches then. All that, none of it makes any sense. And that just makes the film an utter disaster. More of a disaster than it's already been. So then you've now got the Nazis are now coming along. They know exactly where to go, of course they do. They come to the tomb. They see the watch and the other part of the dial. And does anything else get said here? I don't think they have. Because I kind of stopped taking notes at this part. I was just like, oh, fuck off. I was like, most of this stuff I'll fucking remember. We've only got half an hour to go with this film. And just the fucking amount of shit. So yeah, so they're looking at the second part of the dial. And that's when Voller transports into the room. And he's like, oh, you've helped me out again, Indy. Then like a big firefight starts. I believe Indy tells Helena and Moroccan Short Round to run away. And then Indiana Jones gets shot in the chest. He's alive. Still alive. They forget that he's been shot in the chest. He starts doing things that if you've been shot in the chest, you can't do. It kind of comes and goes. It's very inconsistent. It's like he's either, you know, this is clearly a mortally wound. You know, sometimes you'll have him like looking like he's gonna die. Other times it's like, no, I can run about and all that. I can jump out of planes. So he's been shot, and now he's captured by Voller. You know, the crazy guy asks Voller, what do you want me to do with him? And Voller's like, we'll take him with us. You know, why? That's my only question. Because, you know, I guess we've got to have the ending where he goes back in time and wants to die. So but you know, Voller hasn't really got any reason to take him. Why do you need, you know, all that's going to do is throw a spanner, you know, into your plans. Like, you know, this guy can be quite resourceful. And you're just like, no, we'll bring him with us. Fucking hell. So they take Indiana off. Helena chases them on a motorbike. Luckily, it's not an action scene that goes on for way too long. So Indiana Jones is in the back of this truck with Voller. You know, Indy's like, what kind of Nazi are you? Because he realizes that, oh, Voller is going to go back and kill Hitler. He's going to kill Hitler to correct the mistakes. You know, you don't really need to go to the length of killing Hitler. Can you not just go there and tell him? Although I guess, you know, Hitler Hitler would be like, no, we're doing it my fucking way. You know, it wouldn't matter what this guy turned up and said. So I guess you probably would just kill him. And I guess the idea is Voller wants to take Hitler's place. He wants to become the new Führer. So that's what we learned there. They make it to where the World War II plane is. Our Nazi friends have dressed up in Nazi uniforms. You know, I guess that's so when they arrive in 1939, you know, they look the part. They're not in a, you know, just in some suit. So I guess that's why they've done that. They board this World War II plane. And that's when we come to another one of the stupidest things in this film. As Helena and Teddy, Moroccan short round, are sitting there, Helena says, "Oh, can you fly that specific plane?" He says, "Oh no, I haven't flown that kind of plane before." And she says, "You haven't flown any plane before. So why are you bringing this up if you know he hasn't flown? If he hasn't flown, that means he hasn't flown. What difference is it?" I don't know what that was about. It was just, "Oh, can you fly that?" "No, I've never flown that." "You've never flown anything." "Right, why the fuck did you ask him if he could fly that then? If it was the case that he's never flown a fucking plane before." He ends up being really good at it and has a perfect landing, even though he's a 14-year-old and has never flown before. But it's fine, guys. Earlier on in the movie, he did it with a fake joystick. He did it with a joystick. He just spoke to a pilot, and the pilot said, "You do this," and he knows how to fly. So that doesn't make any sense. And we're now we've now got about 20 minutes left of the film, and at this point, I was starting to wonder. So what is the ending of this going to be? Because I'm failing to see where you're going to fit anything in. You've dragged the arse out of this film throughout the entire thing. You're now running out of time. So that's why we get a rushed ending. Because they thought, now we got to do 2.5 hours, because that's what everyone does now. We can't have a film that is 2 hours or under. No, it's got to be over that every time. So they've wasted a lot of time, and now they're getting to the end, and it's like, fuck, we've got to have an ending. We haven't thought about it. We've got all this shit beforehand, and now we're running out of time. Fucking hell. So Voller gets on the plane. The Moroccan short round runs off and gets on a plane. Gets on the plane and knows how to fly it, even though he really shouldn't. Helena chases after the World War II plane as it's about to take off, and jumps on the wheel and gets transported up into just underneath the sort of main area. And Moroccan short round is flying after her. And then Voller starts doing something with the dial. A big portal opens up in the sky. It's just like a big bright light. You know, it's just white. That's all it is. So that's what they see. They're flying up there. And then Indy goes, "Oh, Voller, you fucking fool. You didn't think about continental drift. Like the codes that you have inserted in here are not gonna, you're not gonna go where you wanted to go, or in what time you wanted to go. Part of it is something to do with the dial doesn't account for continental drift, because nobody knew what continental drift was 2,000 years ago. The other thing is, well, you know, how much does that really play into anything? It's like, you know, if you're talking about continental drift, you're talking about millimeters. You're talking about very, very small, you know, amount of displacement, amount of drift. There's not, you know, there's not a lot of that. There's not going to be a big movement. So what difference does it really make? Oh, I ended up in his garden. I wanted to end up in the front garden. You know, that's about as far displaced as you're going to be. But, you know, I can only assume it has something to do with not just the, you know, whereabouts, but also in what time. I guess that's the idea that they're going for. But, you know, again, like most things in this film, they're not very clear. Not very clear on it. So Voller is like, stop, don't fly through that thing. You know, he realizes my calculations are not right. So they then come out of the big warp hole. In this World War II plane, Moroccan Short Round follows them through. They come down, and there's a load of Roman and Greek ships firing big arrows at each other's ships. So Voller realizes, oh fuck, this wasn't where I wanted to be. And then whoever's flying this plane decides to fly down right above the water, so the fucking warships start attacking it, throwing big what do you call it, like through the wings, like destroying, like with their, you know, like arrows, big massive arrows, like the Romans and Greeks are firing into the sky because they think it's a dragon. I don't know why you'd look at that and go dragon, but, you know, okay. And they're just, you know, using a big bow and firing these big arrows through the World War II plane. And it's like, go up, you know, fly up high. They can't reach you then, can you? But no, they stay there and continue to get completely obliterated by big arrows. And then the Nazi crazy guy, he opens up the side of the plane and starts shooting at Roman soldiers. For what fucking reason? Rather than just go up. What are you doing? He opens up the door of the plane and starts fucking blasting at these Roman ships. Never have I seen something so stupid in a film. So what, you know, what are you trying to get out of that? What is it you're trying to achieve? Rather than just flying up and you don't need to waste bullets. You're not achieving anything by going bang, bang, bang at Roman and Greek warships. That's not achieving anything. So you're just really dumb if you think that's what you have to do. You know, I heard about this and fucking hell. That was really stupid. So, like, all these arrows are flying up at them. It's killing some of the Nazis. They're getting arrows through them. The wings are getting arrows. So now what's happening is the plane is going to crash. Because they thought, nah, stay low and we'll start shooting at them. When we could just go up. We got no reason to do this. We're just going to start blasting. You know, it's literally the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme. So I just started blasting. That's all. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just, I just started blasting. Rather than just flying up. That's all you needed to do. So that's another, that's up there with the stupidest moments of this film. It is quite hilarious to think about. Just all these big arrows piercing, almost hitting Indy and everything like that. Who's now seemingly not had a gunshot wound to the chest. He's fine now. So he realizes, oh, Helena is on the plane. So it's like a big thing with Helena's hanging off the plane. She's going to fall to her death. And Indy puts on a parachute and they jump out of the plane. That was in the trailer as well. Voller is stuck on the plane. So the plane then crashes. I mean, this could have all been avoided if someone had the common sense to go, let's fly up high. Their arrows can't go that high. We're in a plane. We're in a World War II plane. But no, didn't do that because they're fucking stupid. So they fly down. That crazy guy is still machine gunning Roman and Greek soldiers. Why are you doing that? So he's went from blasting his pistol out of the side door, and he's now just what? Why are you doing that? I don't know why he's doing that. It just makes him seem really dumb. So then, Moroccan short round. He's in the cockpit. It turned out there was a guy sleeping in this plane. So I guess he's got a guy that's helping him to land and go and get his friends. So then we see Archimedes has seen what's going on, seen this plane crash, and we're about to get to the stuff that doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all. And a good reason for why you don't add time travel to something like Indiana Jones, if you haven't got the ability to do it. So Archimedes is walking by this plane crash. He comes across Voller's melting corpse, and his watch is fine. There's nothing wrong with his watch. His watch is Archimedes takes Voller's watch. And then can we get to that part yet? Yeah, he takes the watch, and they find the completed Dial of Destiny. That's what Archimedes finds. They find the completed one, and Indiana Jones and that they parachute down, and then the plane lands, and then Archimedes shows up with a big dial. So now we've got to get into the time travel of this, how this just does not work in any way. So the idea is that Archimedes has created this dial so you can only travel to Syracuse on this day. That's the only time. That's how it is. It's a time loop, like a closed loop, I think you call it. So that's the idea behind the dial. The biggest issue though is what this film is saying is that Indiana Jones and Helena and Voller have been here before. Archimedes knows who they are. He recognizes them. So he's implying that the reason why he was able to make the Dial of Destiny was because they shown up and he got a watch of Voller's dead corpse. And you're going to have to bear with me because there is a lot to unpack with this. It's fucking... So that's basically what they're going for. That, oh, Indy and that have been here before. But again, it's like, well, no, if they've been here before, how did they get here without having the dial? The only way they can travel in time is because of the dial that you made. The only reason you were able to create that was because you found a watch. But Indiana Jones and that, they can't get here unless they have the Dial of Destiny, which you can only make if they've appeared before. But they can't appear before because they need the fucking dial. So the time travel don't work. You've done it wrong. You've done it wrong. You've done it very poorly. So that's how they've done it. That doesn't make any fucking sense. It's like, the only way it works is if there's another device that allows them to time travel. That's the only way it works. So yeah, that completely breaks the entire film. Just that on its own, forgetting about everything else, that breaks the entire film. I don't know what they were thinking, but it kind of took me a little bit of time to kind of think of that. Figure that out, just because it's trying to deal with fucking time and all that. That's why it's always a good thing not to introduce time travel. It's all right if that is the core concept of just a standalone film. You've then thought it through. Here they haven't done that. They have not thought about it. I don't know how they've missed it, but that is the incompetence of Lucasfilm. They don't think about it. Don't think about it at all. So that's how the time travel doesn't work. If I might, I'll probably have to go over it again just to repeat it. That Archimedes made the Dial of Destiny because Indy shown up before and he found a watch. But Indiana Jones can't get back in time unless the dial has already been made. There's no way for him to get here without the Dial of Destiny. The Dial of Destiny has to be made on its own. Like, if you wanted this to work, the Dial of Destiny just had to be made so someone finds it and then travels back to this time period. That's how you have it. You don't have it, oh, Archimedes made this because of you, because that doesn't make any sense. So that's what I'm saying. The way you have to do it is, oh, he made it. He made it so people came back here and saved him. That's how you don't introduce, oh, it's because of you guys. I knew how to make this. When it's like, they need you to make it to come here. Fucking hell. So, yeah, absolute shit film. You know, there's no, oh, it's mid. No, it's fucking dog shit. It is dog shit. There's nothing mid about it. It's underneath that. So, yeah, the time travel fucking makes no sense whatsoever. So, this is when we get the part where Indiana Jones wants to die. He wants to die. Nobody needs him anymore. He's useless to the world. He just wants to die and stay here in ancient times and be a part of it or something like that. Which means he's going to die because they don't have medicine to fix his gunshot wound. They don't have anything in this time period, so that means he's going to die. That's what he wants. He wants to die. So then Helena's like, no, that will cause a time paradox or something like that. Even though it's... No, you've already done that. A World War II plane fell out of the sky 2,000 years ago. That is going to change a lot of things. They seem to fit... Oh, no, all it would do is Archimedes would have a phoenix with propellers on his coffin. No, this would drastically change all of time. If a World War II plane, that kind of technology, ended up 2,000 years ago, that would change so many things. But they're just like, nah. Now Archimedes, all he would do is go, oh, it was a phoenix with propellers. That's it. There's no sudden advancement in technology in this time period. There's none of that. They seem to think a World War II plane ending up in this time wouldn't do massive, well, not necessarily damage, but it would change history, like, in a big way. So they haven't really thought those things through. It's like that the time paradox, this is already out the window. You know, unless you're gonna, I don't know, wipe everyone's memory and take the plane away. You don't do that. You just hop in the plane and fly off. Which brings us to how they get away. So with Indiana Jones sitting there going, nah, it's fine, I just want to stay here and die. The world don't need me anymore. She knocks him out. You know, pulls him on board the plane. And they escape, and then he wakes up in his New York apartment. I don't know when. Apparently, I did read an article where Phoebe Waller-Bridge said, "Oh yeah, this was really funny. This was comedy." It's like, no, what's funny about you punching Indiana Jones? So that's what she does. Indiana Jones wakes up. He's all healed almost. You know, he kind of says, "Why did you do that?" and stuff. And she's like, "Oh, because you're still needed," or something like that. And then Marion shows up at the door. Why? What? Why? What's happened? What situation has occurred that to cause Marion to come back? You know, what did you say to her? Like Marion just says to Indy, "Oh, did you came back?" or something like that. And then like Helena and that leave, and then they do the scene from Raiders, like in the opposite direction, where Indy says, "Oh, where does it hurt?" And then he starts kissing different parts of her. And I don't really. What were we doing? What were we doing in this film? That just randomly, oh, Marion's back now and they're reunited. No, they were just going through a divorce. The idea that you just go, oh, let's get back together now. No, you got to have more than that. There's got to be a reason for it. But there's no reason for it. It's just Marion shows up in his apartment. He kisses her elbow, and that's the fucking film. That's how they end it. And I'm just confused. What the fuck was that ending? I don't know what the point you were trying to make. There's just nothing there. So that happens. They're back together for reasons. And then we sort of we pan up outside of the apartment where Indiana Jones's hat is drying on a line outside, and it goes into a small circle, and he takes the hat indoors, and that's it. That's the entire film. I don't know what all that was. I don't know what all that was about. I don't know what point they were trying to make thematically. There's nothing there. There's nothing to cling to, in that regard. But they seem to think they've done something. They seem to think that they've done an arc. Whether it's Indy or Helena. So no, you haven't done anything with these fucking characters. You haven't done anything. You've just essentially destroyed Indiana Jones. You've done that. Not much else. And just made a really shit film that introduced time travel that doesn't make any sense. It just does not work. Everything else, you had action scenes that went on for way too long and weren't any good. There's not really anything positive to say about this film. Again, they may have had the odd decent scene, I think, with Indy talking about his son dying, but again, they don't do anything with it, so it doesn't make any difference if the scene in isolation is like anything near decent, because you got to do something with it as well. You can't just say, I'm sad my son died, and then never bring it up again. But that gets us done with that fucking utter train wreck. So yeah, it was just, again, as I say, I think the best description of this I've heard is it's a collection of scenes. Yeah, no, well, I would still say the time travel doesn't fucking work in this film. Like there's no way it works. Like, if you have to go back in time first, if you have to go back in time in order, well, again, how do you get back in time? Like the only way they're able to go back in time is with an actual dial. They need the dial. The only way that can get made is if Indy gets here, which they can't get here if they don't get the dial. The dial is like it's the only way to get there. Yeah, I'd have to look into Terminator. But as of right now, I would say this still doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Again, if they did it this way, there has to be other things added to it. They have to not make it. They have to make it very clear. But they haven't done that. So really, at that point, you can only really assume things. But from what what the information is there, just the way they explain it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, that's the entire film. But I'm forgetting how they did. I'm forgetting how they did it in Terminator now. I suppose it depends on where you go in the Terminator franchise, isn't it? If it's later on, I only recently watched Terminator, and I'm trying to remember how they actually do it. Because I don't remember it being similar to this. Hmm. The Terminator from the future leaves parts in the past that allows them to make Terminators in the future. I don't. That sounds a bit different to what they've done here. I'm trying to, you know, it's time travel. It's always fucking confusing. It's always really confusing every time. But yeah, the Terminator from the future leaves parts in the past that allows them to make Terminators in the future. Yeah, they do that. But I'd honestly have to rewatch it or actually find out how they did it. I can't actually think of sort of every aspect they add into it. Well, no, I know time travel isn't fucking real, but there's still rules to it. You've still got to have rules for the time travel. But yeah, I'm trying because when did they sort of when did they explain? Well, they did it in 2, didn't they? They had the guy. The guy found. Well, the guy just found it though. I'll have to look in the, but I'm gonna have to finish there. I'm gonna have to finish there. And I'll probably have to read that because I'm pretty sure they haven't done the same thing here. But they create time travel in the future that allows them to do that. Like the Terminator stuff is like the only reason the Terminators, because it's they've come from the future, so like they've gotten to a place where they've just been able they don't need someone to provide them stuff to make it. I guess that the time travel is a bit separate to the Terminators existing, because someone in that time, in the future, built a time machine, and they went back so they could get Terminators going. So that's different to what they've done here. Whereas they've in the Terminator thing, they haven't actually involved the sort of the creation of a time machine. Whereas in here, it is the creation of a time machine. So that's probably what I'd say about that. But as I say, Skynet isn't time travel. Skynet is the Terminator aspect. But they make time travel in the future, and to get Terminators, they send people back to do this, that, and the other. So I guess that's probably the difference, is that they're in Terminator they're using time travel to do something. They're not using time to make a time machine. I guess that's kind of what I'd say about it. But I will finish there anyway, because I was hoping to be done pretty quick on this. Because I was just, watching it, you just end up not really caring about this fucking film. But yeah, I think I'm one of very few taken one for the team. Because it doesn't look as this film's going to make its money back. I don't think it's going to make any money back whatsoever. I don't know if it's. I might as well check before I finish up, because I think it was the Thursday previews domestically were 7 million, and that's like behind The Flash. Is it? It may even. I think it may even be behind The Little Mermaid. Oh, I don't know what's trying to stop me from going on to here. Right, proceed. Right, so yeah, 24 million. That is where it's at. So looking at the box office. So the box office today has done, or well, yesterday, Friday, 24 million. I'm trying to think of what else have we had that's come out that's so 24 million. I'm pretty sure The Flash done better than that, did it? No, did it? The Flash done better on its Friday by 133 million. So The Flash so far has done better on its Friday. The Flash made 9.7 million on the Thursday, whereas Dial of Destiny only made 7 million. So it's already just seems as though it's fallen apart. I want to look at The Little Mermaid as well. I'm quite interested to see what that done. So yeah, even The Little Mermaid done better than Indiana Jones. The Little Mermaid on the Friday done 38 million. Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny has done 24, and its previews are an extra 3 million. So it's already doing worse than the fucking Little Mermaid, and that film was an absolute train wreck as well. So yeah, it's looking like it's not gonna do well, which is a good thing, because otherwise we'd end up with Phoebe Waller-Bridge donning the hat. That is what would happen. So it's good that this is not going to make money. But I will finish off there. I'm going to go and get something to eat. 2 hours and 20. I'm surprised we went this long. But yeah, that's Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny. What is the next movie review? Yeah, it probably will be the new Mission Impossible. That's July 12th. So I think that's in 2 weeks. Let me see. Because I don't think there's much. I think it's just I'm not going to bother doing Oppenheimer. That's not really the type of film I want to break down. So I probably won't do it with that. But I'm trying to see what else we have. But at the moment, yeah, I think it's just Mission Impossible. I'm just trying to find where it is. So we are in July. Right, we went through June. So yeah, it will be Mission Impossible on July. Well, it'll be July. I think it comes out on a Friday, does it? I think that's the day it comes out. So that's the only one next month, or this month rather. Anything else? Well, we've got Blue Beetle in August, so that's kind of the next ones. But I think probably because we're having a sort of big break, at least after Mission Impossible is done. That means I can probably finally get to some movies that I've wanted to break down. The main one I've had on my list is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. So we may get a chance to do that at some point after we've done Mission Impossible, because then we've got at least 3 or 4 weeks until Blue Beetle after that. That's unless I do something else, because the only other film I'm interested in is The Last Voyage of the Demeter, or whatever it's called. Which, again, see how that turns out. But I will finish off there. We've been going 2.5 hours, so that's probably long enough. Now I'm going to watch more people break this down. I'm going to go and watch I'm going to go and watch EFAP break it down now. So I'm not out of the woods with Indiana Jones yet. I've then eventually, once I've done, because I'm still writing my Flash script. So once that's done, then I'll be moving on to Indiana Jones. So I'm not going to be done with that yet. Yeah, the Meg 2. I haven't even seen the first one. It's not something I would watch. How would even a breakdown go with like a film like that? Because like literally everything would then be nonsensical. Just big massive sharks falling out of the sky or something like that. But yeah, that's us done for the next couple of weeks. So I guess there's not much else to say other than I will see you on the next one.